Back with us on the SportsMax Zone. Good afternoon to you wherever you are watching our broadcast. There was more disappointing news for football fans in Jamaica coming out of the government's latest media conference to update the nation on the COVID-19 situation that was held on Sunday. The nation's top flight football competition, the National Premier League, will have to wait until at least April before approval is given for the start of what should have been the 2020-2021 season. The Minister of Local Government and Rural Development, Desmond McKenzie, was asked about the timeline for the start of the competition, while the Prime Minister, Andrew Holness, he later spoke about sport in general.
All I can say for now is that the matter will be reviewed and looked at to look at what is possible. I want everyone to understand and appreciate the circumstances under which we are operating now. And we will take it based on the discussions that we'll be having over the next couple of days involving the Minister of Sports and the Ministry of Health on this matter. But I want to make the point that we did, in fact, made allowances for the resumption of training earlier on. So we'll have to revisit based on the existing circumstances.
You know, recently there was an issue about how the orders were administered. And it raised the favoritism, equity issues. We look very carefully at it. We would like to see the resumption of sporting activities, no doubt, but we want to see it done safely. What we're observing is that the various sporting associations, they are coming on board with plans and they're working on it. But right at this point in time, it would be inconsistent with the challenges that we face if we were to give approval. So whilst we are not closing the window on sports, but just within this period until we get a leveling off of the threat, we would not be able to give approvals. So we would still consider them, still work with them to ensure that we refine the arrangements. And then as soon as we are out of this danger zone, we can start to look at how we can get the sporting sector back up and running. And I want to thank the sporting sector for their patience and understanding. I know it's not easy. It's an industry, it's a business, and many of them earn their income from it, and they haven't been able to earn any income. So bear with us until we go through this rough spot.
Yeah, that was the Prime Minister of Jamaica, Andrew Michael Holness. Before him, Desmond McKenzie, the Minister of Local Government and Rural Development. So those are the facts on the table insofar as those two gentlemen are concerned. And as we were saying at the top of the show, no ball will be kicked at least until sometime in April.
Well, we heard from the Prime Minister himself, George Lance, and he said until they have leveled the threat and until they are out of the danger zone. So however long that takes for us to be out of the threat and out of the danger zone, that's how long we'll have to wait to see football again. And I feel like that's exactly what he's saying. You'll have to wait and see. We're in uncertain times, unprecedented times. So basically, we cannot give you a definite answer.
Yeah, well, another factor that has been introduced into the equation is the issue of vaccines. And because that is now about to come onto the table, maybe that is another factor that could ameliorate the situation to some extent, because, we are here thinking, maybe April the earliest, but the fact is that when the numbers were a lot lower than they are now, there was no football. And the Prime Minister said something about the leveling off. I'm not too sure at what point we will achieve that, given the fact that even when the numbers were significantly lower than they are now, they thought the risk factors were too great to resume football. So it's a very, very untidy story at the moment. And I'm not too sure how positive the football people will feel coming out of yesterday's announcements.
Well, why don't we go to the football people themselves and speak to Chris Williams, Chairman of Professional Football Jamaica Limited, organisers of the Jamaica Premier League, consequent upon what the Prime Minister said on Sunday. Chris, good afternoon. Welcome again to the SportsMax Zone.
Good afternoon, lady and gentlemen. Thank you for having me, and let me apologize for the white shirt and the background.
Yeah, you look really weird.
You know, it just so happened I couldn't find any other background, George.
No problem.
Find any other background.
No
I'm
problem,
sorry.
Chris.
I'm sorry.
No problem. So we're at a point now in Jamaica, Chris, where hospital admissions around about December were up to about 20 per day. The health minister said on Sunday at that same press conference that we're talking about 40, 45 per day going into hospital now. Vaccines are close, but still not here. And hospitals at breaking point, community spread, it's running through now because the R rate, the reinfection rate, 1.3 according again to the health minister. These are dark days from a health and wellness perspective. It's highly unlikely that the light of football will be allowed to shine through at least for the next 5 weeks, man.
Yeah, let me start by saying the Jamaica Premier League and all our clubs fully support the concerns raised by the Prime Minister in his presentation last night. We fully agree that change needs to take place and that the country as a whole needs to operate according to stronger protocols and to maintain those protocols. I like to say, guys, that this is a discipline disease. And if you are disciplined and you follow the guidelines and the protocols, then we're able to manage the numbers. If we are not, if we don't follow the guidelines, then we're going to have continuous outbreak. And so what we need to focus on at this time as a country, and we, the Jamaica Premier League and all our clubs are appealing to the wider society to follow the protocols. It is a discipline disease. You have to be wearing your mask, you have to be practicing social distancing, you have to be sanitizing. That is the only way that we're going to reduce these numbers. That's just the reality. No, guys, the press conference also brought home that the industry of football is not given the same level of prominence and respect that other industries have been given, because the Prime Minister did not come out and lock down any other industries, right? So it basically, said to us that there is a certain amount of lack of understanding of our economic impact, or a lack of support for our ability to execute and manage the protocols. We feel that the situation that is in front of us requires some action and requires discipline. And we feel that our industry can operate within the guidelines and within the discipline structure that is required to ensure that there is no spread from us. Now, if those guidelines require extensive testing, if those guidelines require limited mobility, etc., then we can work within it.
But Chris, hear me now. But let me ask you this, Chris, though. Well, you said that it's perhaps lost on the government the economic impact of football as a part of the entertainment industry and the livelihoods that are cultivated there.
But I wouldn't even say as a part of the entertainment
beyond that,
industry, as a part of the business community.
All right, so that's where I'm going. Because I'm saying to you, how could this be lost on them when the Minister of Sport is an avowed supporter of football and sport in general? Well, after all, she has portfolio responsibility. And the Minister of Local Government and Rural Development has a Premier League team in his constituency. Where his constituency is located, there are two more Premier League teams around him, Waterhouse and Arnett Gardens. He has a Major League team just across the road from him at Boys Town. So it's hard to think that it could be lost on these guys, the importance that football plays as a generator of economic activity and, of course, a maintenance of the livelihoods of the young men who see this as their way to earning bread.
I am right there with you. I remain at a loss, and especially within the context. And Georgia, you gave some examples of other leagues. We want to stay focused on the Premier League. We have raised close to $200 million in sponsorship support for 12 teams to support a vulnerable community and provide an economic income generating opportunity for these individuals. And we're one of the few businesses that are going to open and close our doors with testing. You know, you name a bar or a restaurant, you know, that is testing its staff and its spectators before they enter. We are going to do that. So it is lost on me as to why we are being singled out as a business and being closed, while other businesses with similar exposure levels as us are not being closed. Now, I repeat that we recognize and understand and appreciate and fully support
definitely
the situation that the country is in.
Yes, Chris.
And we are in support of greater protocols. And so don't get it wrong. I just want to say that we're not proposing that we execute our league without protocols.
We have no doubt about that, Chris.
Yes, so I want to ask you, you all have been doing a really good job where sponsors are concerned. How do you move forward now into getting more sponsors? What do you say to appease somebody to sign with you when the government himself has no set date as to what is going to happen with football?
Well, the good thing is our commercialization strategy is multi-year, and our sponsors appreciate the fact that we will get through this pandemic and we will have a back to normal environment in very short order, and they recognize that when that happens, the sport of football is a commercial property that they want to be associated with. So that is the approach we've been taking with we're now up to 14 sponsors, and they understand and appreciate that this is a long-term investment.
Yes.
And they continue to make that investment. So the good news is that the commercial property is respected and attractive, and people are recognizing the value in it and are prepared to work with us until we are able to execute that value.
Excellent.
So we're not our sponsors aren't panicking. Our sponsors understand and
good to know.
are working with us.
Good.
Where we need to keep the focus on is to say we are a business industry, just like the shops that the Prime Minister spoke of.
Yes.
When you take a look at some of the wholesale stores in Uptown, when you look inside of there, they will have more people inside those stores than would be in the entire National Stadium.
Yes.
Right, and we would have tested the people coming into the National Stadium, and nobody's testing the people going into those stores.
Yes.
So we're saying that we don't think it's a balanced playing field.
Yes.
That we're being singled out and treated as an industry that doesn't operate according to guidelines and protocols.
Good to see you changing tack, Chris, and going on the front foot where this issue is concerned, because there needs to be a change of approach if you want to get the show on the road. Thank you for your time today, and we'll be talking again. All the best.
Thank you for having me, and thank you guys for keeping football in front of the supporters and your viewers, and please continue to drive home that this is a business and not a recreational activity.
Hear you on that. That's true. Thank you very much, Chris Williams, Chairman of Professional Football Association of Jamaica. No play just yet, and it's unlikely. Well, nobody knows when play will be green-lighted.